morning, Dad and I are starting out in our late season cole crops. We're going to be picking a whole variety of broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. So we have an absolute ton of cauliflower. It's all beautiful, but we're trying to just pick the bigger heads. We've gone over the patch about 4 times already. We want to keep ahead of it just because we have so much. I think that's a nice one I'll cut. The cabbage is enormous. Well, at least this one is. Yeah, these are all real nice. These are like 10-pound heads at least, maybe 12. Dad and I went out and picked a whole load of peppers, which are right here. Long hots, lots of bell, Italian, some snack peppers, and now we're starting to wash. They're beautiful, big, blocky, solid. These are the snack peppers. As good as these are, and how, like, I don't know, many different ways you can use them, they're not near as popular as you would think. So we basically just grow these for ourselves. We stuff them with like cream cheese, sausage, bake them in the oven. Sammy and I are going to be freezing sweet corn today. So the first thing I'm starting out with is heading to the cornfield to pick it. And if you can't tell already, got a sweatshirt on, got my hat, pants. Today's a high of 60 and a low of like 32 tonight. So we're in danger of frost. But with the cold weather also means hunting season. I just got a new hunting setup from Tethered, the saddle. Got the sticks here, the 1 sticks. So I'm hoping if I have time, I'm gonna get out and go for a doe tonight. We need some burger just for the freezer. We're all out. Dad is off to market, so that leaves me and Mom, and Emily's who's gonna show up. We got some onions here we pulled out of the barn. We got some potatoes out of the storage. We're gonna get these washed up. As far as picking, well, we're gonna try and get as many peppers and stuff as we can so that the frost doesn't harm it. But there's so much out there we won't even touch a fraction of it. We wish we could sell it, but we just can't sell that much. In the cooler here, we already have a good amount for tomorrow. We got beans, we got cucumbers, kohlrabi, broccoli, all sorts of cabbage, peppers, red bell, green bell, Italian L, Cuban L, long hots. And here is Lebanese squash. And then over here, we have colored bell. So we've got a decent amount. It's just basically stocking up for the cold. Usually, if you only get 1 night of frost, it's not gonna destroy everything, especially if it doesn't get too cold and the sun comes out right away. Mom wants me to get a box of green tomatoes. You can never figure out corn. You can plant the same varieties every year and have each one taste different. And it all depends, basically, I would say, on weather. I mean, you can also say it's like soil conditions and what kind of nutrients are in the soil, but we basically have the same thing every year. You know, we fertilize always the same thing, we lime, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so basically it comes down to the dry, the really wet, all that kind of stuff. It all affects it. I would say this year was pretty good. We did have a lot of dry weather though. And so when I'm looking for an ear for freezing, you don't want the really tiny young ears. Although that is what I would personally prefer if I'm gonna have it like cooked in a pot on the stove to eat like tonight for dinner. But when you are freezing, you want a little bit more meat, I would say, in the kernels. You don't want it hard, you don't want it tough. You don't want it to be, you know, overgrown, but you want more than those tiny little tender kernels. So this corn we have right now is like perfect. And so I'm going for a certain kind of ear, which is just like your nice medium, filled all the way out, which is basically about every ear that's on. But I'm not gonna pick the really, really tiny ones or the really huge cobs because that's not what I wanna put in the freezer. And I'll show you what it looks like here. And this is what I mean. You can see how that is filled all the way out to the top. Nice. It's not like the kernels are exploding and too big. So I got the corn. I tried to get 100 ears. I don't think it's quite 100 here, but it's close enough. This corn is just gonna be for Sammy and I. So I don't know how many ears we can eat throughout the winter, but I think that'll get us all the way through. And so now I'm here in the high tunnel. I don't want red tomatoes, even though I do see quite a few. I'm going for greens because, well, we need a box of them and they're nicer in here than they are in the field. This is what I'm looking for right here. Look at that guy. Clip that dead leaf off of there. I can't get over for going on the middle of October how many tomatoes are still on here, and we're gonna keep letting them grow. We'll close the sides as we need to because frost isn't gonna affect them in here, or at least not in the early stages of it. Big nice red ones, tons of green, small and big. You get down in here and you can really find some nice red ones. We got to come through here and clean these again. I mean, just look at them down through here. Got them up under there. But I just finished my green box and that was all I was supposed to get, so I'm done. All right, so I just got out here to the squash slash gourd slash pumpkin field. Pumpkins are basically done. You've seen that in I think my previous video. Me, Emily, Mom, and Oliver came through and got almost everything that was any good out of there. Up here in this upper half was white pumpkins. Got them basically all cleaned. Blue Hubbard, orange Hubbard, which there's very little. If we even come back and get these, it'll be a miracle. Got those cleaned up, and now I'm on spaghetti, which are beautiful, and butternut, which again, are very nice. Okay, I can get out of the shadow, there you go. And acorn, which are also nice and big. And then up here's another of butternut, and then we do have some sugar pumpkins up there. My main concern though is all the squash here, the acorn butternut spaghetti. These go really good all the way up until Thanksgiving, just because this is more of like your fall like food, I guess you would say. Cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, pumpkin pies, you know, acorn butternut spaghetti, all that kind of stuff. So I think what I'm basically gonna do is just drive along, keep the buckets right in the back, and just put them right in instead of carrying a basket along with me. I'm gonna go through and cut them first. That way that step is done. These are all really nice. So I finished spaghetti, the butternut. I only got 3 acorn. There is more, but there isn't many, and I had to walk away. So I just decided, because I didn't have a lot of room left, I was gonna move on to gourds, which Mom actually picked these. She came out now, just assorted. And then we have the weeby littles here, which is just like a miniature pumpkin. That's a double there. And now I'm working on pumpkimons, which I'll show you these in a minute. They look like that there. Alright, so I now just came up to the Brussels sprouts. I think I'm just gonna cut the second row in here. I'm gonna go right down the row and clean them all. I mentioned in my last video that this year we tried something different with cutting the leaves off, or pulling the leaves off and cutting the tops out. That way just gives them more air to breathe, and hopefully they'll get bigger towards the top, not just at the bottom. This right here is a prime example of why we take these bottom leaves off. So what happens is, obviously we spray for bugs. Now we don't spray more than we have to, but we spray enough to keep the bugs, hopefully, out of whatever plants are in that area. Now with Brussels sprouts, and I can probably show you better up here, the ones that aren't cleaned off, they get so thick, they have so many leaves on them, that they're basically, actually they're all done now, they're all protected. So you got to imagine all these leaves that were on the ground were sticking out of here, and you have this big top that we did not cut out of these yet. And so when my dad sprays, he can't get the chemicals down in, letting the bugs basically roam free and not get hurt at all by the spray. And so that's why we're hoping that this new method that we're starting to do, which isn't really going to help out much anymore this year, but in the upcoming years will then allow the spray to get down through and kill everything, not having any of the holes in the Brussels sprouts, or also not have the rotting like you see down here. Because always we have beautiful ones up here. Sometimes they're a little bit smaller, and that has to do with cutting the tops out. Once you cut the tops out, it basically tells that plant, okay, put no more nutrients into these bottom ones. We're gonna now put them into the upper ones, and then they'll get bigger if you let them grow long enough. But we just are cutting them too fast now at this point, to where it's really not beneficial to do really much of anything now, because every single day we're cutting 10, 15, 20, and in probably 2 weeks these will all be gone. But either way, we're still gonna sell them. There's still a lot of good Brussels sprouts. Some plants are worse than others with bugs. And it's not like the bugs are really there now, it's just that they were at a certain point, and that's why they look like this. And what we'll do is then just snap like that one off, that one off, that one off. Anything that's no good, that's not edible. But basically now the rest of this is perfectly fine. So now I came out here to the tomato/pepper field. Mom and Emily are picking round and plum. Mom's actually working on the round, Emily's on the plum. They're a little smaller than we would have liked, but again, that's just because of the lack of rain. What I'm working on is, because of the frost, and we're nervous with our hot pepper bushes, that because they basically stick straight up in the air, and well, these ones go down, but some of them go up, that they're gonna get hurt by the frost. So I'm picking 2 bins of these. We have so many different varieties. I don't even know what they're all called, but they are really pretty with all of the green and red peppers. And there's like hundreds of them on each plant. Some are big, some are small, some are skinny, some are fat. Either way, there's a lot, and I'm not sure what we're gonna do with them all. What we used to do is, well, my cousins actually started it, and then I took it over, and now none of us do it, is make hot pepper packs. And it's just a mixture of all of these hot pepper bushes and bigger hot peppers like cayenne, cherry peppers, jalapeno. And then we dry them, dehydrate them, grind them up, and then put them in a pack and sell them like that. And I hate hot stuff, but all the people that bought them and family members, just customers at market, said that they were so good and they had great flavor. So I'm thinking about maybe starting that up again and then selling them online. If that's something you guys would be interested in, leave a comment down below and maybe I'll start that back up. I just touched one to my tongue. Not even bearable. Man, they have a hard root system. Unfortunately, I did not get to go hunting tonight. Sammy actually ended up showing up, picked 2 baskets of tomatoes, so it's a full bushel. We're gonna let them ripen for a day or two so we can make sauce out of them. But we're heading down to her mom's house now to freeze this corn that I picked earlier this morning. So I'm sure it's gonna be kind of a later night, but it'll be nice to have that all winter. So Sammy and I have been working at it for about half hour, 45 minutes. This is our pile of corn. We have about, I don't know, 15 ears left. I'm shucking, Sammy's taking the hairs off. We both hate that job, but Sammy doesn't like shucking even more. And then as soon as we get done with this, we're gonna move on to cutting it off the cob. So now we're moving on to the next station. A lot of corn cobs. Okay, the next step after you have all your beautiful cobs is gonna be cutting the kernels off. This is kind of a tricky process, at least for me, because you wanna make sure you get close enough to the cob to where you're maximizing all the corn, but not too close to where you're cutting into the cob and then it's like hard to chew on. And so my dad, when he does it, he does like a straight slice all the way down. I'm not too good at that. I like to kind of like saw at it a little bit. I can do a little bit nicer job and a more even job. Once you do 3 or 4, you can feel how it's supposed to feel, like when you're getting too close, and then you kind of back off or get a little bit closer. And then another thing I watched my dad do, not sure if any of this is necessary, but he does it, so I'm gonna do it. Then flip your knife around to the dull side and just scrape down the cob lightly, and then you're getting all of those juices out because there's a lot in there that could potentially be going to waste if you don't. And then once you're done, something like that is how the cob should look. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I know that's pretty close. And then they're done. And just keep going and going until, well, all your cobs are done. I would say for a family of 2, 100 ears is plenty unless you're just absolutely in love with corn. So all the corn is now husked, cut off the cob. There's a bag there of them, another bag here. Then in here by the stove, Sammy and I are trying to eat some supper. Her mom made ribs. We have 1 pot of corn here. This has to be cooked yet. This pot is already done, chilled, ready to go into bags. And this pot here is just about done. And that one is gonna go over here into this ice water. Wow, look at all those juices in there.
Wow.
Get it all.
Falling on me.
All right, so now she's putting the corn on the stove. We'll let this on for, I would say, you never know exactly because it depends on how much corn you have, how big your pot is, and how high you have your burner on. But around 20 minutes, basically 15 of that is getting everything warmed up, and then around 2 to 4 minutes, you want it to boil. That way you can get your corn to cook. And then that's when you'll bring it out and put it right in this ice water bath. This one is now done. This one is in the process of cooling down. We're gonna start bagging this probably in the next minute or so. The biggest thing is you wanna keep stirring it. That way it doesn't stick fast to the bottom, and then basically all your corn tastes burnt. And I would know. I haven't actually done it. My mom has, and it does not taste very good. So corn is now done. It was boiling for just over 3 minutes, right into the ice water. And then we'll leave it in here for probably at least 20 minutes. And we'll even stir it a little bit, that way it just cools evenly all the way through. And now we can finally start the bagging process. This is the first one. This is a cup measure. We put 2 of these, so 2 cups in 1 quart bag. We use quart bags just because that's what works best for us. So we got this cup measure. Do like a cup and 3/4, something close to that.
Boy,
What?
it's juicy.
Yeah, for some reason, different pots are juicier than others. We don't really know why. And then Sammy just gets all the air out, seals it up.
It's warm.
She's already got written on the bag, corn 2025, so we know when it's from, in case we want to do it next year and then we have leftovers, but I'm probably gonna eat it all anyway. And then that is the final product right there. So the last bag of corn is now being closed up. We have 6, well, we will have 6 here, and then another 4, 8, 12 here. So what is that, 18 bags to get us through winter. Is that enough?
It's just me and you.
I hope it's enough. And now for the final step, putting it in the freezer.
You scared Cooper.
So help me. All this
Why
work,
didn't you take this?
it's so slippery, it's like trying to hold on ice.
We'll have to fix it when we get out there.
I hope it's not ruined. Leave that happen. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose it again.
Just flatten it, yeah. Make sure you do that one. Alright.
What did we lose, 2 bags?
That's okay.
Beautiful.